Alright, so when you're installing a new lock after it's been drilled out, first thing you'll do is put in the mortise, make sure that it's handed the right way, right? The slope goes towards the frame, right? In order to, there's instructions on how to rehand it if you have to. It's really simple. There's a screw, you loosen it up, take it out and pop it back in and screw it back in. Anyways, this one's handed properly. The first step after installing this, and don't tighten it down all the way, otherwise you're gonna run into issues with the door lock functioning properly. The next step you'll do is take the key cylinder, remove this properly, and just screw it in. You're literally screwing it in just a little bit. You don't want to go too. You don't want to do it too little or too far, because then it doesn't engage properly. I don't have the key on me to test this for the video, but it's going to look around about that far in. And then best practice is to take your key and just make sure everything's really smooth when you test it. And when it's working right, it's super smooth. So you're going to want to do that to start. And then once you have it in a good place, you lock it in place by, first of all, make sure it's down like that, and then you lock it in place. All right, so that's in place. The next step is going to be to take your cover plate. It's a lot easier. I don't have the clamps on me, but there's a couple of clamps on site. Makes it a lot easier to do the back and the front. You'd start with the front, just line it up. It's going to go like that. The slot goes on top, and then the two bottoms here. Okay, so now you're going to take your front lock. Make sure the gasket's on. They all come with a gasket, but you got to put it on. You're also going to take a, let me show you this part. Hold on, let me pause 1 sec. All right, you're going to look for these three things. The two silver cylinders that have the threads inside of them, and then there's this little stub with threads on it. And basically, one of the cylinders goes on the bottom stub, and then the stub here screws into one end of the cylinder and slides in through the slot. And then the way we're cutting the holes, it's going to get tightened towards the top. I'll show you in a sec here. All right, so you have the bottom cylinders and screwed onto the bottom. And this one just screwed in a little bit under the stub, and then you're just going to slide it in from the top. Because of the way we're drilling the holes, it's going to go through that top hole. We're doing it higher up because it's a lot easier to find the threads when you're trying to install the locks. So just going to slide it up and then just crank it down, tighten it. The pressure from the stub will, it'll eventually tighten pretty tight. So you're going to want to make it pretty tight. All right, so now it's ready to go on the door, just like that. Forgot to mention, some of these, they all come right hand, the handles. I already put in this rod. It's the shorter rod. The kit comes with a long version of this and a shorter version. So we're using the shorter version. And then you take the pin and put it in. One thing you got to do though, if you can kind of see it when you zoom in, that arrow next to the loop, you can see the arrow on the spindle. That arrow has to point in the opposite direction of the handle, just like that. You can see there's no arrow on that side. It's only on that side. You can barely see it. It's a groove essentially. So that's really important. And then make sure it's straight. All right, and then this wire, the cable is going to go through the hole right above this key cylinder. So it's going to go slide straight through there and through the other side. Right, just like that. And now this slides into the mortise. I'm gonna have to jimmy it in a little. And then it should just slide right over that key cylinder. There's a space for it. So you can see the handle's working as it should, so that's good. And now we're gonna put the one on the back. All right, same thing on the back. The side with the slot is facing up. It's gonna just kind of go like that. Let it rest. It'll stay, but not easily. All right, same thing with the rear section. Nothing you have to do with this unless you have to rehand the handle, but other than that, it's good. So now we're gonna plug that in. I'm not gonna show it because I need two hands. But you're gonna plug that in, and then that spindle for the deadbolt's gonna go through that hole, the tiny hole there. Oh, and then that is gonna meet up with the rod from the front handle, right? So I'm not gonna do this on camera. After you plug in the cable, just stuff the cable in through that hole, just stuff it all in there. And then next step, also not gonna be on camera, it's gonna be too difficult. The screw's gonna go through that, goes all the way through there, and you can see the stub out that we screwed on the other side, kind of. So that's where the bottom screw goes, and then the top screw goes on that slot. There's a slot at the top. They give you an option, which is why we put that higher at the top, because it lines up better. You can see it way better. This is so much easier if you get a clamp and clamp everything together, and then you can screw it all on. But I'm not gonna do this on camera because I need both hands, so that's what you're gonna do. Oh, and the hardware for it, the longer screw goes on the bottom, and then the shorter screw goes through the top. It's really hard to, you're kind of doing it blind, especially the top one. You know, when you're pushing it through, it's really